Hello random gamers, Ekko here for a little bit of a walkthrough on how to find the right fusion reactor in Payday 2, the level Big Oil. So what I'm going to do is walk you through it step by step, and hopefully you'll be able to find it quickly and easily the next time you play this level. So let's get started. So we'll start from the point where we've just hacked the computers, we have access to the lab, so we'll head downstairs, and the first thing to do is make sure you secure the scientist down there so you can use him as a bargaining chip a little bit later on. And now we'll look for the 3 pieces of evidence that you need to work out which one is the right fusion reactor. So the first piece of evidence we're after is a PSI readout, which we can find on the computer, and we've got it right there, and I'll stop it and zoom in a little bit, get this picture up on the screen, which will allow me to explain what you need to do, because it sounds a little bit complicated, but once you know what you're doing, it's quite easy. So as you can see from this screen, we've got a PSI reading in the top right hand corner of the computer. And now you also need to pay attention to the little symbol to the left hand side of the numbers, because that's going to indicate whether the pressure is going to be equal to or greater than, or equal to or less than. If it's facing right, it's greater than. If it's facing left, it's less than. But anyway, what we now need to do is convert this PSI into bar, and we'll switch to the next screen, which will show you how to do that. It's quite simple. I just use the calculator on my phone and you get the answer pretty quickly. You don't have to take too long finding a converter on the internet or anything like that. So as you can see, you get the number, the readout, and because the arrow is facing to the right, we know it's going to be equal to or greater than the number that we get. And as you can see, we divide that by 14.5 and we come up with a 398. Okay, I just round that up. It doesn't matter. You round it up to 400, so we know that the pressure now on the gauge for the engine should read 400 or more. And like I said, if the arrow is facing to the left, it would be 400 or less. But in this case, it's 400 or more. And just on a quick side note, regardless of what the PSI number is, it's always divided by 14.5, and that'll get you your bar pressure readout. Okay, let's move on. So what we're after now is a fuel that's going to be used in the engine, okay, which is represented by the coloured canisters. So what we need to do is look around for a little book that has the fuel written on it. Here it is right there, and I'll zoom that in. Okay, as you can see on this blue sort of mathematics workbook, there is quite clearly written what fuel is used in the engine, and as you can see here, in this case it's nitrogen. Okay, so now we need to work out what coloured tank is a nitrogen tank. So this is where we go and consult the whiteboard, which is just in the middle part of this lab where you came down the stairs. Okay, if we consult the whiteboard, we can see that we're after nitrogen, and if you look up there, nitrogen equals orange. Okay, so all that means now is that the small canister on the engine needs to be orange, okay, because we know that it's fueled by nitrogen. Okay, maybe one of those other colours, but in this case it was nitrogen. Okay, now we are after the third and final piece of evidence. We need to work out how many nozzles are going into the main canister. Okay, so we're after a black or brown coloured notepad clipboard, which has a piece of paper on it that will highlight how many chords there are. Now, just on a quick side note, there has been some issues with the notepad not appearing in the actual game, and it's happened to me a couple of times. It's quite frustrating, but that is a chance that it may not occur or may not spawn within the lab itself, which will leave you to sort of making some choices between the engines. I know it can be a pain, especially on this level, but it happens. So if you can't find the notepad, look again, because it is hard to find sometimes, but sometimes it just doesn't spawn, unfortunately. But anyway, here's the notepad. Let's zoom in on it and see what the numbers say. So as you can see on this notepad, which may or may not be there, there is a number next to the H, and it always appears like that. It could be a 2, could be a 3. In this case, it's a 3. So ultimately that means that there's 3 nozzles going into the big main gas tank, the big blue gas tank on the engine. Okay, so we've worked out our 3 pieces of information we need to narrow down which engine to select. So we need an engine with an orange canister, we need it to be 400 pressure or more, and we need 3 nozzles going into the blue tank. So let's go see if we can find it. Okay, if we go down here, it was pretty good on this playthrough. I found it pretty quickly, almost straight away. So here's the engine. Let's have a quick look at it to make sure it matches all the specifications that we've discovered in this laboratory. So, okay, as you can see, 1, 2, 3 chords going in, good there. The pressure is more than 400, so great, and we've got an orange canister, so everything matches up, so we'll bag this up. Rightio, now comes the easy part of getting the engine all the way up to the runway, the airstrip, past all the guards and the guns and the shooting and stuff like that. But just on a side note, if for some reason you weren't able to find that notepad which stipulated the number of chords going into the engine, what you can do to save yourself some grief is grab, work out the PSI, work out the colour of the fuel canister, and just grab one engine with 2 chords going into the blue container and one engine with 3 chords going into the blue container. I know it will slow 2 of your teammates down, but it's a lot better than having to come all the way back when you're low on ammo and low on health. And finally, gamers, if you manage to get the engine all the way to the helicopter and they verify it, and you do it on the first go, you'll receive the achievement Dr. Fantastic. So, I hope you enjoyed this walkthrough. I hope it was clear enough. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. And if you'd like to see any more Payday 2 vids or walkthroughs or anything like that, also send us a message. I'm quite happy to do them. I'll catch you later.